So, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to greenSME final event. And thank you for being here, all the people that are here right now, also for the ones that are joining online. Let me introduce myself. I'm Jaion Aguirre, and I'm speaking on behalf of Techniker, Fundación Techniker, which is greenSME project coordinator. Firstly, I will introduce our greenSME project, which is a coordination and support action project funded by Horizon Europe, and it runs from June 2022 until August 2025. And this is our consortium. As our main mission is to promote small and medium-sized industry companies' sustainability, our consortium gathers organizations which are very near industry. And for that, the main partners are the industrial clusters, which are MESAP from Italy, Silesia from Poland, and AFM from Spain. They are, for us, are the main industry representative. On the other hand, we have these organizations that has expertise in technology and social innovation, always focusing on sustainability, which are Techniker, Brandwich University, Theme 4.0, Dortmund University, and Democracy. And last but not least, F6S, who is supporting us with the communication and open call management. Why greenSME? greenSME is focusing, as I mentioned, in promoting sustainability in the small and medium-sized companies. European industry is a key component of Europe's economy and a social welfare, but also a source of pollution, waste, emissions, pollution, and so on. On the other hand, there is this European perspective. Also, there is some societal pressure for industry to become more sustainable. So this is the challenge that we are facing. Small and medium-sized companies, especially SME, are demanding to be more sustainable while remaining competitive. In this context, advanced technology are the driver of this twin transition, of this transition. But also we know that advanced technology by itself is not enough, and technology needs to be together with social innovation and sustainability expertise in order that this transition must be resilient, and equal, and effective. In order having the perspective of three pillars-based sustainability also, that we have in mind always this economic pillar, this environmental pillar, and also this social pillar, in order to make a long-lasting sustainability transition. So, greenSME objectives, let me introduce them briefly. On the one hand, and as one of our main goals is to increase the awareness about technology role in sustainability. We have developed this greenSME hub, which is a knowledge-sharing community around technology and sustainability, where engaging community has been a real challenge. On the second hand, we have this second objective, which is to strengthen SME capacity for advanced technology adoption for sustainability. And for this purpose, we have developed two main tools, which are the Sustainability Assessment Tool and the Action Plan Methodology. And the third objective has been this sustainable principles adoption by SME. In order to ensure that these sustainability principles are implemented, and this financial support was necessary. And for that, we have run two open calls. All these three tools, I would say, the sustainability assessment, the action plan, and the financial support has been gathered in a methodology that we have called greenSME Sustainability Pathway, so we could help and promote and support SME in developing this strategic approach to sustainability. Just to have a brief idea of how it's going to be our session, our key outcomes has been the greenSME Hub, which we managed to engage and over 262 manufacturing companies and almost 300 sustainability and technology providers. We have developed this sustainability assessment tool, which is still ongoing, of course, and I will keep offering this service to any manufacturing industry that would like to test themselves developing this sustainability assessment. And there is this greenSME sustainability pathway and the European Manufacturing Sustainability Roadmap that will be explained in detail later on in this session. And just to have a size of the project and which is the dimension of the work that we have been developing, we have managed to engage more than 600 members in the hub. We have developed more than 170 self-assessments, more than 160 advanced sustainability action plans, and we have managed to support financially more than 80 sub-projects. And this is like the big numbers, the big KPIs of the project, but we are going to start now with the session, and my colleagues that they will introduce you in detail each one of them. And now I would like to play a short video describing our project.
Driving a greener future for manufacturing requires understanding, action, and collaboration. We've built a solution that delivered over 170 self-assessments, helping companies understand their current sustainability level and identify key areas for improvement. More than 160 action plans, developed by experts, offering practical steps for companies to integrate sustainability into their operations. Over 80 funded sub-projects, successfully linking manufacturing SMEs with sustainability and technology providers to test and implement innovative solutions. A community of 260+ manufacturing companies, all actively seeking to become more environmentally friendly. A network of 290+ sustainability and technology providers, offering the expertise and solutions needed for a green transition. A hub with 590+ members, facilitating dialogue, knowledge sharing, and collaboration. Our solution delivered 2 innovative pathways by funding projects that connected manufacturing SMEs with sustainability technology providers to test new methods and technologies for cleaner, energy-saving, and cost-reducing operations based on the 3 pillars: economic, social, and environmental. These providers are impactful, offering both advanced sustainability technology and crucial social innovation expertise. Secondly, we supported manufacturing SMEs in implementing the recommendations from their Advanced Sustainability Action Plans, ASAP, to become more sustainable, adaptable, and resilient. Together, we drove meaningful change, equipping manufacturing with the tools and connections needed for a greener tomorrow. Explore the resources and learn more about the impact we achieved.
Okay, and now we will start with the first session, which is the sustainability in European manufacturing, and will be gathered 3 main speakers, and the first one is Nelli Kononova from Bromwich University.
Thank you very much, Hayona, and welcome to this session. I'm very glad to present you some of our results and also the path that some of the manufacturing SMEs have undergone and within this whole process. So we'll start with again with a bit of a scope, what the project is shortly about, then what is the greenSME pathway, what do we understand under this, and I'll provide you some key facts and data and figures, and we'll dive a bit deeper into what we could analyze from the projects and from this pathway that the companies have undergone. At the end, there will be a short summary and also some ideas for the potential projects or for what the research and European offices could start with. So Hayona has already presented this figure. The majority of the enterprises within European Union are the small and medium-sized enterprises. That means that the climate action should also start with the SMEs. So if we look at the Green Deal and climate action within Europe, the SMEs should be addressed within the scope of the problem, and that the SMEs should go the transition pathway. And the greenSME project has taken the mission of driving those manufacturing companies to become more sustainable, to understand their problems and to find possible solutions. So with the 3 objectives that Hayona has also introduced, in this presentation we will look at the 2 objectives on the pathway, on the adaptation of the technologies, but also on the adoption of different principles. So this pathway that we are going to talk about. It contains of 3 main steps. The manufacturing SMEs join the hub, and as the first step, they undergo our SAT, so the self-assessment, where they first identify what are the main areas of action where should start with improvement, what are the problematic zones of them. Then they had the opportunity of undergoing our ASAP, so the process of developing the Advanced Sustainability Action Plan, where they have received some suggestions from our experts on what they could do, which technologies they could use, which social services they could use. And there was also an option of providing an online workshop. So we had this interactive interview where we have undergone different suggestions and questionnaires, so that at the end they could receive a list with different potential actions so that they could implement them. And what they could do after such a workshop, or without the workshop, we have provided like a digital version of this document. They could then apply for the open call, so they could write down their ideas in a proposal and apply for this within the open calls. We will hear about them a bit later. And in order to make those project ideas more measurable, they also should provide KPIs, and within those workshops we have identified some of the KPIs. So what did we do within this project? Here you can see no, you cannot see, but you can see the timeline of our project. So there were 2 open calls, and within those open calls we had different processes of creation of the self-assessment reports, of the ASAPs, and then the companies could apply for the open calls. There were 2 of them. The second open call is still ongoing, so yeah, at the end of the project we'll also evaluate the projects and the main results. But we already have some results that we can analyze tonight. The numbers, you have heard them from Hayone, but just to give you an overview, in the first open call, there were like 43 companies entering the process. We're still at the beginning, but in the second open call, those were about 135 companies entering the process, so that at the end, we ended up with 85 funded projects. And in the middle, those action plans that we have introduced, the majority of them were basic, so without the workshop, so that was the faster way of companies to receive their action plans. And if we look at the geography of the companies who have participated, the majority of them, they are in the darker green, are from Spain, Italy, and Poland. And to give you a hint also why it is this case, because in those companies, in those countries, we have our clusters, and the kind of insight that we have got is that the companies can participate in such initiatives, even if it's about funding, only, or majority, if they trust their clusters and connections. So we will talk about the clusters role later on, but here we also had other countries, Greece, Slovenia, Turkey, but the countries where the clusters were situated were the most active ones. And which manufacturing sectors were there? So the framework was that only manufacturing SMEs could participate, and the majority of them were metal products, either non-machinery or also machinery, food products, rubber and plastics. So there were also many suppliers of automotive sector, but there were also some food and beverages manufacturing sectors as well. Diving a bit deeper to our process in general, so we have developed the self-assessment and the action plans. I'd like to look a bit deeper into the results of each step. So at the beginning, and some of the manufacturers here who have undergone this process, they will recognize that they were asked at the beginning, what are the drivers that you would like, why would you like to step on this sustainability transition pathway? What would you like to change? And the majority of answers was about improving the productivity and improving resources efficiency. So those are the factors that, on the one side, from the economic perspective, but on the other side also on the environmental perspective, so that you cut down the resources that you need, which then also logically cut down the costs of the company. And there were also some motivational drivers to improve or to increase the level of skills of the employers, but also to improve the relations to the customers. And we've also done this analysis with what are the hotspots of the company, so which fields are the more problematic. And the majority of them were processes and production systems, so the bigger circles, the outside circles showing those action fields. The majority, if we look through the different open calls, and in general, the majority were companies saying we want to improve our processes, the efficiency of the processes, but also the use of materials, so either cut down the use of materials or also enter another and alternative materials that are that have lower carbon footprint, or also increase their stakeholder engagement or skills of the employees. And one of the fields that was least mentioned was the value chain. And we suppose that the companies want first to improve what they can do within their companies and then start thinking about the value chain. But on the other side, if the suppliers are asked by big OEMs to deliver their product passports or LCA results, it is something that affects them to make the improvement within their companies. And what was also in focus of our actions were the advanced technologies, so the 16 technologies that the European Commission has suggested to improve the sustainability of the companies. Something that you already know, like artificial intelligence to improve the efficiency, probably computer vision, or like big data, augmented virtual reality, robotics, etc. We have also taken more focus on the social innovation, the upskilling of the employees, the business model revision, but we have also considered life cycle assessment, also calculating carbon footprint of products, and energy or other resources management. So those different services and technologies were in focus of our different actions. And let us have a look at what has changed within this pathway. So at the first step, this self-assessment, the companies were asked, which technologies, which services do you use? And those that were mostly mentioned were cloud computing, connectivity as technology, then business model revision, so that the companies revise their business model. And from the perspective of environmental, that they tend to introduce energy management, energy efficiency processes, etc. on the second step, where we have developed action plans. We have included different technologies or services depending on how they matched the companies. And the majority which was entered within those actions were advanced manufacturing technology, advanced materials, and artificial intelligence. And from the social perspective, it was always about worker skills, because no matter which technology you want to introduce, the skills of workers do matter. And LCA and resources management, they were equally important within the action plans. And on the last step, we have considered what companies did take into their proposals. So what did matter for their implementation? And there we could see that Internet of Things, big data, AI, and advanced manufacturing technologies was the most mentioned technologies. Training of workers was still the most important social service, but also within this line, the most important service, because it was mentioned in nearly every proposal. And LCA and resources management, they remained important. But here we have also identified that they were kind of trendy technologies. So companies mentioned at the beginning that cybersecurity, we want to use it, or it would be important, or augmented reality. But at the end, like the circles, they kept being smaller and smaller, telling us that those technologies were not as important as the companies thought at the beginning they would be. And we also had two types of technologies that were not important at all. Probably they were too specific, because micro, electronics and nanotechnology, they are maybe way too specific, so they were not mentioned at all. And we have also conducted some interviews, semi-structured, independently of this pathway, and we have asked companies about their main challenges. And they have mentioned that funding, so they need money to invest in those different sustainability-oriented projects. But they also need more access to the knowledge and to expertise, because usually they don't have any sustainability managers or people having this knowledge within the company. So they need more guidance into such processes. They are also overwhelmed about the amount of the information that there is there, and they want this help. And they also have the fear of that the others think they are practicing greenwashing. So they want to know that if they act in a sustainable way, that it's also perceived this way and not just blamed of being greenwashed. And of course, there are steadily changing regulations, we know of omnibus, CSRD reporting, etc. So they want to keep updated what is important for them. And from this, we have also identified some needs. So if you plan on different projects, here are some hints from our project. There is a need for more funding projects, for projects guiding companies, providing them some advisory on how to become more sustainable. But also the networks and the clusters that we have mentioned before. It is important for companies to network and exchange their knowledge. And also, it would be nice to have some tools that keep track of different regulations and what is important for them. So let us just summarize what we have heard about the last couple of minutes, or probably more. The project greenSME contained of 2 open calls with different processes from self-assessment to action plans. We have identified that worker skills was the most important service, but there were also some technologies such as Internet of Things, big data, AI that mattered, and lifecycle assessment and resources efficiency, they stay the important from the beginning till the end of their pathway. And there were some trendy technologies such as cybersecurity and AR, which at least for the sustainability projects did not matter as much as they thought. And in total, SMEs need more financial support and support with the expertise. And if you can take 2 messages with you tonight at home, this will be that those insights that I have provided you, you could depending on which perspective you are representing, either take for new project ideas and initiatives. And for everyone, my colleague Clara will also introduce it later, we're developing the roadmap for European ecosystem of manufacturing SMEs. So your perspective matters. We will include your perspective ideas so that those needs of companies will be addressed within this roadmap. And with this, I invite you to connect. We'll have the panel discussion later on, and if you have any questions, feel free also to ask afterwards. And I hand over to Marco.
Okay, Nelli already gave some information about some founding principles that we adopted, and my duty today is to give some insights concerning the calls for proposal that we managed and we put in place, and some suggestions if on a regional national basis some organization would like to duplicate this scheme, to replicate it, because I think could be interesting. Was not, have to say, an easy job, generally speaking, because there are a lot of factors that we had to take into account when we set up the call for proposals. And in some way we have to be careful making proper activities, preparation activities, in order to be able to support the companies they want to support towards the pathway of the sustainability. I wanted to start the presentation putting, as I said before, the founding principles. Also Nelli mentioned before two topics that we took into account when we prepare the calls, or in some way we prepare the project greenSME. First is the funding availability. Without the funding, it's really difficult to push companies to the transformation, and the money is always a good tool for boosting this type of changes. On the other way around, we are talking about manufacturing companies. We said that our goal is to support manufacturing companies towards the sustainability pathway, but sometimes they are not so aware of what to do towards this pathway. So we put inside the game also, we collected the sustainability and technology advisors, because they are the ones that supported the companies towards this change. So these two topics will be taken after, but the first thing that is important is that our goal was to support the SMEs, so the small and medium enterprises. Only them could have the access to the call for proposal. But we have also to think that our calls are not like the calls in which probably you're used to work with. We see a lot of times the Commission giving grants through cascading grants, awarding technology innovation projects. The open calls, the companies are willing to participate. That's all. And if they are good and their proposal is good, they are awarded. But this is not what we had to do, because we had to make some homework before. And Nelli already explained this during her presentation. So if we start on the left upper part of the slide, okay, we repeat again that we have to have on board the manufacturing companies. They are the ones that should be supported during this pathway. But they have to be aware of which are their weaknesses in the sustainability item. And this is something that maybe they have, but they needed a support. And all the support that we gave already has been explained by Nelli. But what is important is that no manufacturing company could participate to the calls, could have participated to the call without making the sustainability assessment and without making and developing the action plan. So this is fundamental, because if you want to award some SMEs, the manufacturing SMEs should have known which are their weaknesses in order to tackle them during the project presentation. And this is one part of the game. The second part comes to the upper right side of the slides. That is that, as we said, sometimes they don't have so much idea on how to proceed towards this transformation process. So we had to take on board the sustainability and technology providers. This did not come in 1 second. We had to follow a process. We had to open different call for interest. I would say one call for interest open during a long period in order to be able to take them on board, to assess them, and to validate them to be good partners for the manufacturing companies. So if we take a look to the right hand down part of the slide, you see that the technology providers and sustainability and technology providers have been selected via continuous call for interest. So these are the two homework that we had to ask to the proposers, and after they completed this, they have been able to participate to the call. Again, so we repeat and we highlight that the proposal should have been focused on the weaknesses highlighted by the sustainability assessment. Obviously, if we give money to somebody, we have to give money to the ones that are prepared to make the change, and in some way they follow the pathway of the project. We didn't want to have big partnerships. Also, you see in the first line, in the fourth line, we didn't give so much money, because it was not the case. It's not, again, a technology innovation project, but it is a service project. So we thought to give a maximum of 35,000 euros divided in 10,000 for the manufacturing, that are the ones receiving the support, and 25,000 euros for the S&T providers. Why we made the difference in giving a grant is because in the end of the story, the manufacturing companies are already receiving benefits in adopting this transformation. And we give already them some money to be able to make the transformation, but big part of the work has been done by the S&T providers. So we decided to give a little bit more money to the providers than not the manufacturing. I stepped too much far. I forgot to say that we didn't want to give burdens to the companies. Okay, we know perfectly well that the bureaucracy is really affecting the companies. It's not something that they would like to have, and for this amount of money, we really wanted to be sure that we didn't give them administrative burdens. So we decided to give this grant with a lump sum scheme. That means that once that you satisfy the KPIs, the targets described in the proposals, you don't have to produce to us any kind of administrative report, invoices, timesheets, in order to get that money. Obviously, you will get the money if you will produce the results that you declare to produce inside the proposal. Not long projects, because it's useless to prolong so much. We decided to make 6 months. But in order to be sure that every beneficiary made in a proper way the activities, we implemented a monitoring activity, checking, evaluating, supporting first, and monitoring them in the technical activities in order to see that everything that they declared effectively went in the right direction, and also supporting them if something was not clear. So always these two hats we had. So, and this is what we did. But in any case, we have to remember that for preparing things like this, we had really to prepare a lot of documents. Guide for applicants, call for interest for evaluators, because we had also the evaluation process, call for interest for NCT providers, submission of the proposals, procedures, process, evaluation, monitoring, and then the big part of the sub-grants preparation, so the contract with the beneficiaries and sub-grant payment process. So this is not, I mean, we have to be prepared. If we want to follow this scheme, we have to know that we should have a good preparation. But this is something that we wanted to do in order to not only distribute in a proper way on behalf of the Commission the money that we had, but mainly to assure good results for the projects. So I spend my last 3 minutes, I suppose, Oscar, now we have, giving information on the overall framework. Already Nelli gave some information about this, but why we use this scheme? Because low administrative burdens. It's not so difficult to prepare proposals like this. We prepare application forms trying to be as much as possible easy for the companies for the preparation of the projects. We had a good competition, but we have a higher funding approval percentage in comparison with other schemes. The projects are short with a high and quick impact. So the numbers are those ones. So we distributed 3 million euros. So these are not peanuts, effectively. We had received a large number of proposals. In the end, 86 projects have been funded, having inside the manufacturing company and the sustainability and technology provider. So in total, 172 beneficiaries. And so this is the situation. This is the situation about the funded proposals. Nelli showed the participating. So again, the trend has been kept the same with the 3 countries where the clusters are located having the majority of the beneficiaries, but thanks also to the networking activity we did, we had a lot of participation also from outside our project partners countries. So 15 countries in total participated, outside the consortium 12, outside the EU. Outside the EU means UK, Norway, Ukraine, and so on, 4, and for a total of 133 beneficiaries belonging to Italy, Poland, and Spain. And why is this? Because, as we said, the clusters are supporting their companies, and in the end, they are able to capture more than other organizations the participation. So conclusion, the green SME scheme is replicable. Everyone can do it, and we are available to give all the information more than I explained here in these 15 minutes for supporting outside organizations in order to adopt this. It's interesting for SMEs because it's a lump sum scheme, no administrative burdens. The success rate is relatively high. We had more than 60% of success rate. It's engaging, however, under the procedural aspect. It's not a conventional call for proposal. Then, the homework that I spoke before, a matching between the manufacturing SMEs and the ICT providers has to be established beforehand, because if not, when it's the time of applying, if you did not make this match, would have been really difficult to participate in a proper way. So, this is it, and I hope, I don't want to say that I convince you to go on in this pathway, but it was interesting to give some insights in order to understand how we worked and the results that we obtained. So I leave the floor, 15 minutes. Thank you, and I give to you, Clara. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, hi from me too. We shift the focus a little bit now to a social scientific topic, because we were the partners who accompanied the project from that point of view. And we had the task of integrating all that we learned during the long process of the project into a roadmap towards what a European ecosystem would need to support SMEs in the manufacturing sector and becoming more sustainable. So a quick background, no worries, not long. We come back to what Nelli also introduced already. We spoke to SMEs, we asked them, and we had the information from the sustainability pathway. And we knew that manufacturing SMEs need support with innovation. So different from larger companies, usually they innovate more in partnerships than on their own. The main resources they need with that is funding, knowledge, networks, and awareness. We put many small aspects in these 4 words, of course. But that means also that there's support needed from very different stakeholders. So we know different structures are needed, different stakeholders need to be involved. How do we come to an ecosystem who can actually put that into practice? And we know there's lots of single initiatives already. There's meta clusters working on technology, there's clusters working with SMEs already, there's national green initiatives, regional green initiatives, but how can that work together towards this goal of becoming a structured ecosystem that supports all European SMEs in becoming more sustainable? So this is what we had in mind as a background, right? To develop a roadmap towards this ecosystem. The roadmap consists of an analysis of the current situation, also in terms of trends that are threatening to SMEs and challenges, building on all the different inputs from the project, the concrete challenges. It has then a vision and specific goals, what to reach for an ecosystem. We translated that into areas of action and put that into a time frame with responsibilities. So which stakeholders need to do what? Okay, so the road mapping, what do I speak about, right? We followed this approach. It's based on a 6-step understanding of what road mapping is. So you begin with setting a framework, setting goals, setting the scope of what you're talking about, define important terms to speak the same language, and then you analyze the current situation, map initiatives, identify trends, as I told you, that's in the roadmap. Then you work with the stakeholders. And that's a difficult part. And you try to come to a common vision of what the goals are. Where do you, like, how should it look like, what you want to work on together? And then you identify all the requirements from the different stakeholders for that to be successful. And you identify the stakeholders needed and in what area they should work. And then the fourth path, when you achieve that, is paving the way. So only then you can talk about things like concrete steps, what you imagine when you talk about a roadmap, right? And then you talk about priorities, what needs to come first, what's more effective also to tackle first. Set timeframes, set responsibilities. And then what we also did is we compiled all this kind of information and results into one document, which is downloadable soon from our website, which is then, of course, the roadmap itself. But to complete what road mapping means would also be, of course, implementing that, putting that into action in reality, and then re-evaluate your steps while you're going on, which is unfortunately out of scope of this project. But yeah, this is what we're talking about. So how did we do that? We started with a mapping of the support structures of clusters. So we looked at meta clusters, which was also first report, and we spoke to the SMEs about their sustainability strategies, barriers, enablers in terms of sustainability implementations. We had the technologies that were favored from the sustainability pathway and so on. Okay, and then the vision development we did starting with actually workshops within the consortium, because as Hayona said in the beginning, we bring together already very important stakeholders in terms of ecosystem and different types of stakeholders. And we started identifying trends and requirements and areas of action. And we then organized open European-wide workshops that were online. And we invited over 120 people to that. And, showed like about 45 came to that and validated the areas of action that we proposed and added a lot of suggestion to that. So we worked on that, and then we also had the regional perspective included by representatives of clusters being interviewed, but also we managed to do a regional workshop with different types of stakeholders, including policy and NGOs and so on. So we had an initial roadmap also based on the consortium ones, and then we went into the workshops. Yes, and then also because it's difficult to bring all stakeholders together, we targeted some representatives for interviews as well, so we could add a little bit more knowledge and validation to the roadmap. Okay, to the results. What is this thing that I'm talking about? It's European, so it's supposed to be European-wide, which is not so conventional, because if you talk about an ecosystem, usually you think about the regional level. So this is a super complex thing we're talking about. We're trying to break it down a little bit. And ecosystem is meant in terms of stakeholder collaboration and their interaction driving sustainable innovation and entrepreneurship in the manufacturing sector. So we look at different levels because it's Europe, regional, national, European. And the whole goal is to support sustainability of SMEs in the manufacturing sector. So it was also focused on uptake of technologies and non-technological solutions that promote sustainability, as well as, that's it. Okay. So here, you don't need to understand every single bit, but that's a schematic that we made to understand, okay, it's the three levels, European, national, and regional. And on each of those levels, stakeholders could come from the quadruple helix, as we say, so from economy, policy, research and education, as well as civil society, to actually find the most sustainable solutions. And the idea is that this European ecosystem, the challenges are there and the ecosystem works with them together to find solutions. The overarching sentence of a vision, in the report it's longer, okay, but that we came up with is that the vision is to empower European manufacturing SMEs with advanced technologies, sustainable practices, and diverse stakeholder support to boost global competitiveness through expert guidance and a connected value chain network. You see, many aspects in one sentence. Yes, and then we talked about with the stakeholders, okay, what are the goals of such an ecosystem? What do we work, in what direction do we work together? And we have talked about this with all of the stakeholders involved in the process. These goals have been validated a lot, and we even weighted them in terms of urgency and importance. And you see, one of the things that many people said was, well, a common vision is missing. We need to kind of decide on a strategy and common goals to join forces, to make synergies actually exist. Then you need to clearly communicate that also to the stakeholders. And third, you need adequate methods and tools and so on for the SMEs themselves, actual support that comes out of this collaboration. The whole value chain should be engaged, which is, of course, another difficult part to do. And fifth is the support for manufacturing SMEs in terms of technologies, sustainability, and competitiveness. You need to think all these three things together, otherwise it won't work for most SMEs. Sixth is the 3 layers of network, need to collaborate and find channels of communication. Seventh is finding a voice of and lobby for manufacturing SMEs, which of course in this diverse manufacturing sector of Europe, it's almost impossible, so you need to fragment that a little bit. And the eighth would be to also support the goal of positioning Europe well against other continents. So how do you tackle all these big goals? We came up with areas of action to do that, to kind of give it a structure. But first I want to also say which more concrete challenges were actually validated a lot during the workshops. Okay, so what are the problems for the SMEs to become sustainable? Again, this is weighted in terms of importance. First is the fast pace of digital transformation and the dominance in the digital transformation by larger companies. And the second is the fast pace of the green transition and according legislation. Third is the supply chain insecurity. Fourth is rising costs of energy, materials, and wages. We've heard that during the day in other sessions a lot. Fifth is the rising competition from North America, China, and Russia. Sixth is inflation, rising interest rates, and at the beginning of the project, also people talked a lot still about COVID-19 crisis impacts. And seventh is actually survival, right? The decrease of SMEs in manufacturing overall. So these are the challenges that need to be tackled as well. And the areas of action are first, common vision, strategy, and task of the EU SMEs. So working on that, finding common goals, finding a common language, pathways to sustainability that everyone should, put effort in together. So you don't have so many parallel pathways. Second, the technological solutions themselves and knowing about them and how effective they actually increase sustainability. Third is monitoring changes in legislation and compliance requirements, because that's something that we heard already, changing, having no trust in that a law holds up is a problem for investment and risking changes in your small company. Being well informed how to actually comply with environmental legislation. Fourth, is finance and funding. That's the weighting that came out of the workshops. I was surprised. I thought it would be in the first place. But yeah, having adequate funding schemes for SMEs, finding tax incentives, well-working, adequate funding schemes. So, for example, longer-term funding schemes for SMEs was a topic that came up in different places, in interviews and workshops. Fifth would be actually developing the networks and the collaboration. This regards technology, this regards clusters and exchange of experiences. And then sixth are also non-technological solutions and training and business model adaptation towards sustainability. And seventh would be exchange of experiences, because one big advantage of the European Union would be making use of the pool of experiences that stakeholders have in that actually vast landscape. Yes, I wanted to show you, I will not read every single one of those outputs that I just want to show you. We collected also what would be concrete outputs of such an ecosystem. And it comes close to what greenSME did in a small scale, which made us kind of proud. But yeah, so there's very many concrete measures that came out of this whole process that was suggested. Guides and tools for SMEs towards training material for green skills and so on, but also exchange platforms for exchange of experiences, and also standards and certifications for sustainability, because the insecurity hinders investment. Okay, also again, I just wanted to show you what we came up with. When you are interested, you can have a closer look in the report later on. In this step where we talked about concrete measures, we came up with lots of concrete measures in these 3 time frames: 25 to 27, 28 to 2039, 2032 to 2035. And they sometimes build on each other, and it's all described in the process, so we selected those for each of the areas of action, describing also who could be involved, where responsibilities lie, why it's important, what the problems are of each to solve, and so on. Yes, some conclusions from this whole process. I mentioned the quadruple helix, so policy, industry, research, and civil society. It's super hard to include NGOs or other civil society stakeholders in this process. We invited 20, 1 came. Basically, that's the ratio. It was really hard, and they're not interested so much to provide in that. On a larger scale, yes, but for SMEs, it's harder. Education providers are also surprisingly badly integrated into ecosystems. It depends, of course, on the region, if you look onto regions. But yeah, I think there is a gap there. And we noticed something in the process that I wanted to mention because I found it interesting. When we started the project and we won the grant for greenSME, the political debate, the public debate was, yeah, it was about the climate change and doing something sustainable. It has changed a bit, right? Because of geopolitical developments. And now you need to add something to make SMEs adopt sustainability measures. It's so much more important to survive, to stay resilient, to stay competitive. Yeah, okay. That's my last slide, just half a minute. Yes. And long-term sustainability strategies remain a challenge because many of the people we actually spoke to said, well, we would be willing to do that. No one finances a complicated sustainability strategy that would pay up 15 years from now. So it's a real big gap. The sector is diverse, and we need to find clustering these sustainability pathways or interests, so you could actually find a common voice or common strategies. The sector is too big to think of it as one. That's probably no surprise. The clarification of governance structures is important because we did not identify any group who could lead such an implementation process of this roadmap, for example. It's hard to establish these structures and networking and finding centralized strategies. And last but not least, you probably know that, but again, it came super clear that regional intermediary stakeholders such as clusters or chambers of commerce or sector associations, depending on the region, they are super important for all the support and co-innovation. They are key to becoming more sustainable in the manufacturing sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the practical part. We heard about the frameworks, we heard about conditions, about methodologies. Let's now see how it works in practice. We will now, and let's hope we can join. Okay. We can join now with AOTECH, because in total we've got three. Just a moment. We've got three companies, so AOTECH will be online with us from Spain, Modino, and Quantifier Poland, Envirly. So, welcome. The floor is yours. You can present. Just a moment. We're checking the. Yes. Okay. Say 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say thank you for all greenSME consortium for giving us the opportunity to present the project and also for supporting us for the projects we are developing in this call. I will share my screen so you can see. Just a second. Now. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I'm Iker Garcia. I'm the CEO of AOTECH Galicia. Even though we are located in Galicia, our origin is in the University of the Basque Country, specifically in the applied photonics group. So we develop different applications for industrial processes, always based in photonics and always developing our own technology. At this moment, we are starting the commercialization of solutions based in spectroscopy sensors for food industry. And we are also developing some system to monitor the chemical composition of baths in electroplating industry. Both projects we are going to present now, but we collaborate also with the university in the development of more advanced sensors, kind of biosensors for the food, water, and also healthcare. So the first project I would like to present is the project we call Strip Chem Bath AI project. And in this project, we collaborate with Mirbat. Mirbat is a manufacturing company with more than 30 years of experience in electroplating sector, and they are very concerned about the sustainability and the efficiency of the project. So we contacted with them to propose then a solution that will help them to control in real time the electrolyte concentration in their bath. The most important bath for them was a stripping bath. This is a very complicated bath because the main components is nitric and hydrofluoric acid. They are very corrosive and they are it's hard to handle them. But we propose them to develop a solution based in the spectroscopy and machine learning algorithm to avoid waiting for the results of the labs, because currently they take a sample, they send the sample to the lab, and they wait for several days until the results for the lab come to the company. So we develop a prototype to measure the percentage of of the concentration of nitric and hydrofluoric acid, and also iron concentration, because iron concentration is very important since they were trying to start working in the nuclear industry, and there is some requirements that they must satisfy in their baths. The most important is to have a concentration of iron lower than 0.5%. And we include an application of blockchain to certify that all the measurements made with the prototype can be certified using blockchain. So it's going to give more traceability to the measurements. The solution we are developing is based in a hardware prototype, the typical spectroscopy-based system with a light source that is going to send light to the samples, baths that are in a cuvette, in this cuvette holder, and there is a spectrometer that is going to collect the light and give us the spectrum of the sample. We have to develop a machine learning algorithm that correlate the spectra with the lab results. So we are going to be able in the future to predict the values for the new samples. Here you can see the three models we have developed at this moment. This is the first one is for fluoridic acid, this is for nitric, and this is the iron concentration. So the software part of the prototype has also three modules. The first one is to configure the whole system. The second one is to apply these three prediction models, and finally have the blockchain model to certify the results of the measurements that they are obtaining in real time. Regarding the impact, they expect to have an increase in the midterm about 10% of increase in the service life of the bats, because they are going to be able to have a tighter control of the bats with this real-time monitoring of the composition. That also implies that we are going to some savings, because they are going to be able to reduce the chemical substances that they are using to maintain the bats, and also they are going to reduce the amount of waste, mainly due to the replacement of the bats, because they are with the current method. There are sometimes that when they receive the result from the lab, the bat is not it's not possible to compensate the deviation of the bat, and they have to reformulate completely the bat. And regarding the economics point of view, they expect to increase about 5-10% of their annual turnover, because they think they are very competitive in nuclear sector, and these reports that are certified using blockchain, they are going to provide them a clear advantage regarding the competitors, and they want to also to provide trust and transparency in this in their surface treatment processes. Well, the second project we are developing is called NIR4MP project. That is a project that we are developing with Accredited. Accredited is a company specialized in feed production for young cows, and what they do is to produce this feed from different ingredients, but the main ingredient is milk powder. This milk powder is usually from other companies that discard this milk powder because it's not is out of a specification for human. So they have a few variability in this raw material, and they are doing something similar. They take a sample and they send the sample to a lab, but when the results come, they are using this raw material. So sometimes they can see that the final product has very high or very low concentration of some nutrients, mainly fat and proteins. So what we proposed them was to use an NIR spectroscopy-based sensor to measure this concentration of fat and protein, to have an instant value and be able to adjust the recipe based on the results. So they are going to have a more efficient system. They are going to have a more homogeneous batches, and they are going to reduce the auto-specification products at the end of the production line. In this case, what we did is to use a commercial sensor, it's the AOTECH sensor, but this sensor is thought to work in line. So what we did is to adapt it with some accessories and this support to work offline. And we installed this system in the facilities, and we developed two prediction models for fat and protein content. And you can see here the models are really good. This is a very big range of concentration for protein and for fat. The linearity is very high, and the error prediction error is very low. So at this moment, we are validating these models in the last part of the project, and the results are very promising. And respect the impact for this company, they estimate that they are going to reduce their products out of specification by 50%, just adjusting the recipes according to these two characteristics of the milk powder they receive. They expect to increase their sales by 10% due to the increased quality and homogenization of the production. And they also expect to reduce by 80% the number of samples that are sent to the external lab, with all the implication that they have as transport and packaging and all this kind of impact. So this is what we want to share with you, and I don't know if there's some time for questions.
Yes, I've got one question. Thank you very much, because it's very interesting that you said that you've developed this offline solution, because often in stables it's very hard to find internet. So your approach to do this with an offline solution is very okay. And often in these conditions, we see that technology companies are focusing on online solutions. They try to find solutions with a lot of data transfer on internet. And then there's the problem that in the local conditions, there is no good internet connection or something. So here, I would like to wish you all the best with this solution you've developed, and it's a very interesting approach. Again, you've seen here today how a company with a small grant is able to make a large leap forward, as well in chemical processes and in agriculture. And thank you for this very much, Iker, because I think you've also seen it in practice. I think you really helped these two companies to go forward with just these 6 months of engagement. What's the main lesson you learned from these two experiences?
Okay, first that this kind of project are very short. You have to be prepared in advance. This is something basic that you have identified the problem of the manufacturing company, because and almost also the solution, because 6 months sounds like a long time, but when you are trying to develop this solution, it's not so long. Any problem can arise, and you must be prepared. I think this is very important. This previous work that manufacturing companies did with the sustainability
The planning and the
process,
assessment, yes.
assessment, yes. And I think this is very important because these projects are very short, and you have to be when they start, you have to be all things have to be clear to achieve the objectives.
Yeah, this is a little bit a different approach from the usual approach where you have a solution and the client, and you say like, okay, this is my solution. It costs that money, so you can take it or leave it. Here you had this partnership approach.
Yes.
Together you looked at the problem, together you defined potential solutions, and then there were the 6 months to test it. Iker, I thank you very much for your engagement. I wish you all the best, and we will see one another later on, probably in end of June, with your quality assessment team to verify the results of your project. Thank you very much. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
So we also have Modino. Modino is here today with our friend. Oh, I see that Envirly is first. Okay, so I will ask Envirly to present. Yes, the list is different, but it's okay. Yes, so you can use this one, please.
Thank you. And the microphone. Hello, my name is Karol Bijoś. I'm partnership manager at Envirly Quantifier, and we're manufacturing, we are providing technology for 2 companies in greenSME contest, and this is open call, and this is first of all ERK, Polish company in the project ERK, and company and the company ERK is from Poland, and the other company Tech, which I'll be speaking about and the experience with that company, that is from France. Let me come back with maybe, yes. So we've got Envirly and Tech. Long story short, it's Asklepios who found us, who wrote us through the platform and say, hi guys, we would like to make a project with you. And it was, greenSME in action. And it's working, I can prove it. Okay, so what's we're doing? Envirly is providing web platform for counting carbon footprint of the companies. So we're making GHG, so greenhouse gases emissions of the organizations. We're counting life cycle assessments of the products, and that's also what we're doing in case of cooperation with Asklepios. We are also providing tools and expertise for whole ESG reporting, as well as supporting companies with CBAM. Important thing to be mentioned that we're compliant with relevant standards. So we use technology, so the platform, you got screens, and it helps to navigate through the complex system of emissions for companies like Asklepios, the small companies, to navigate around it easily and quickly. So this is also part of our project to teach the company how to operate and then to give them tools to do it on their own after the project. So it's important to say that we are a team of young professionals and experts in area of sustainability, and we got very experienced engineers from Tech and the technology that is Boxylumix. Boxylumix is a patented, eco-conscious and energy-efficient photobiology technology that delivers modulated light signals to plants mimicking nature's own rhythms. It sounds complicated, but they flash the light on the products, and it can be either pre-harvest or post-harvest agricultural products, and it saves a lot of chemicals that don't have to be used for the agri products. It saves energy, and what we do and how we support them is we give them technology to more intensively promote their tools and projects. Important to say that they're from France, they're from Toulouse, and now they're still a small company, but they're planning to expand quite impressively in next 3 years. What we got, this is the boxy tunnel. Asclepios Tech got 2 major products. This is boxy tunnel and boxy stick. What we're counting in and what we're focusing on is boxy tunnel. And this is plug and play integration. I recommend for all of you to go on their website, Asclepios Tech, and find out how it looks like. Because this is really impressive, and what we're finding with our experts is that it really works, and it's also thanks to greenSME that we are able to find it out. Okay, so Asclepios Tech is coming to us last year in July probably, saying that they've got difficulties in making those projects more popular in their products. They need to align with upcoming eco-design for sustainable projects regulations and how we can cooperate in frames of the project. So it was first idea to develop reliable KPIs for them and also identify and quantifying primary sources of emissions. So we're counting their emissions, we're showing them where the hotspots, and also we're making comparative analysis of usage of their use cases of their boxy tunnel on agri products. So the long-term challenge is to make it happen and to make it work, that they will grow. So what has been done? We did LCAs of their projects, so life cycle assessments. We're counting their mainly boxy tunnel, what they use, what's their emissions, etc. We're also counting their carbon footprint, and we're preparing documentation for EPD for them. Together, this is also important that we're trying to learn, together we're trying to teach the company and employees how to operate in the complex system. So what are the results? The short-term results are that we're producing the important reports for the project. And yes, it is short, as my Iker, the other company, said. And it's even shorter because we had 3 months, then first report, and then 3 months, and the final report. So it's, yes, you need to be ready in the beginning with actions and be planned actions. The results will be much broader than only what we will have at the end of the reporting period this in a month. It will be long-lasting results with certain amount of reductions and achievements on the side of Asclepios Tech, and it's a long-term result, and I would say even in midterm expectations and the midterm results. Asclepios got quite ambitious goals, and we hope that together we are going to give them opportunity to reach them. Well, and what I can say, thank you for making it happen.
Thank you very much. It shows, as an example, international cooperation. Partners can find one another on the greenSME hub. The marketplace was open and you see that the connections have worked. Again, here, agriculture meeting technologies and also innovation processes towards lowering down emissions. And especially how to create a methodology that helps a company afterwards to convince its clients that the solution is really helping to limit emissions and the carbon footprint. So this is very important for startups, for technology companies, for young companies, that they are able to convince their larger clients that their products, solutions meet the required expectations for carbon footprint, also financial issues, like you said here. Shelf life can increase up to 600%. This means for the producer, for the wholesale and retail market, that the products are of more quality over a longer period of time. So it means also that the company is a stable partner for the agricultural and the food sector. Thank you very much. We will see one another also in the panel, I think. Okay, Modino, finally. Yes. The floor is yours. Please. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Luk. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Paweł Zebrowski and I'm a representative of the Modino, which is a technology provider in the project called Atmino. And I am a representative of one of those sectors which was said that was not vastly represented during the project, so the cybersecurity. Okay, so more or less a few words about our consortium. The first one, it's Atmosys, which is a manufacturing SME. It's a Polish company, a Polish startup, which is manufacturing fully autonomous, modular, and universal device for environmental data acquisition, which is more or less used to gathering data from soil and from the also air quality, mostly in the purpose for the agriculture. So more or less, there are some sensors which are placed on the areas, which also give the farmers information. An example, where to fertilize, where to put the water, not to save actually water and also ingredients. So more or less, it's a solution for the precision farming. And Modino, it's our company which I represent. We are a startup which was established in 2021, and our idea is to provide secure and safe delivery of different ways of, I may say, digital artifacts. Funny thing is that the name of the Modino comes from the Italian word, and this is where actually our founders say that the Modino, and I would like to take the advantage of the fact that there is people from Italy in here, so more or less the Modino probably means is a word that you behave your children. If your children are not well behaved, you can say Francesca Modino, Modino, which means that you need to behave a little bit more. And that's why this name is actually put for the IoT devices, because our idea is to send software updates, but also reconfigurations and certificates for the IoT devices which are placed on the distant areas in a very precision and very simple way, which is not doing now, by using also a cryptography. So imagine that you have 6,000 or 7,000 of electrical vehicle chargers, which affects the fact that, an example, we have some cybersecurity attacks. And in normal way now in Poland, there's a person who is traveling to them with the pen drive, and it's actually performing that updates manually. So in Modino, by using the cryptography, we can actually send a different software which is not, which is resilient for the cyber attack. We can send it to the 6,000 or 7,000 devices at once. They are protected by the cryptography, so we can apply it in a distant way, reducing the costs, reducing the time, and also reducing the environmental impact. So our goal in this project was to actually enhance that sustainability of the Atmosys devices by cybersecurity and automation. So our general objectives of this project was to actually improve that social and economic sustainability. So because we would like to actually add value to the Atmos's devices by the possibility of making the reconfigurations and also make them cyber secure more. Because of the fact that these sensors are put in the distance area, it is sometimes difficult to actually access them, make any certificate and also software changes. So by using Modino, we thought that was a good idea also to put that cyber security layer on that. So enable remote updates to reduce manual maintenance, which also have a large sustainability impact now. And what I would like to point out, to ensure compliance with the cybersecurity regulations. By speaking with a lot of companies, from corporations to SMEs, we see that those companies are not willing to speak about the problems with the cybersecurity. They don't want to show that there is a problems in this area, but they speak clearly with the compliant. And because of the fact that the European Union actually put into the force some regulations like Cybersecurity Act, Cyber Resilience Act, like NIS2 directive, right, DORA directive, by using Modino, we ensure that companies, that if you will use Modino, you will be compliant, which is very also a market-driven approach. And this is also we team up with the Atmosys to make this happen. So the main challenges was that the Atmosys needs a low energy platform, because that sensors and the logger also it's as I said, put in the distant areas, and they are mainly powered out by the solar panels, which also have some specifics regarding the low energy. Hardware software compatibility with minimal energy use, and also building client trust in the cybersecurity and automations, because from the Polish market, our experience is that until there is no problem, there is no need to invest. And we also would like to counter that. Okay, so that was the 4 points that we have in our project. The first one, which we team up with the Atmosys during the workshops to actually define the requirements, the hardware requirements of the Atmosys companies to be compliant with the device which we are developing during the project, which of course needs to be valid with the Atmosys devices. After that, conduct market research for compatible European platforms, and that's also important ones, because we know that we have a lot of Chinese or American platforms available on the market, but also having the fact that we are dealing with the cybersecurity business, we need to be sure that we have that platform European ones, which means that we also are more resilient to the supply chain problems. Develop and test the POC devices, and also train Atmosys staff on the new features and usage. So a few words about the steps. We conduct 2 workshops with the Atmosys where we actually create 3 categories of defined hardware requirements. The first one was connected with the interface and connectivity minimal requirements, so the connectivity which our device needs to meet to connect with the Atmosys devices. Power supply, energy use, which I point out, and also a design factor, like an example, minimal 5 years of operation, and also some certificate that the device needs to met. After that, after having that hardware requirements, we conduct the market research, a lot of market research, where we point out the European manufacturers. And as you see, there is one of the it's not working here. A table which actually shows what kind of platforms which met the Atmosys requirements we can use, not only for the interface support, but also regarding the OS support certifications are also a lifetime. And another point which we are currently developing is, of course, the POCs. So this is the Atmosys loggers and also the antenna, and this is the process of connecting this device is actually that one we are developing. We are also making some prototyping, and this is the process which we are now. And we think that we ended up in the next 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks we will also proceed to that last point of the project, which will be the training on the staff, how to use it properly, how to make that added value available for them and also for their clients. So at the end, few words about the impact. Cyber resilience product for the national and international markets. This project is typically a POC, so pilot project, and this is how we actually think about it. But also Atmesis as a manufacturing SME sees a clear market value to introduce that product into our market, to showing the companies that they can have a secure connection between the sensor and also be compliant, which will be raising the attention. Adding value and that implementation by sustainability by design, because not only a cryptography, but the fact that we can, on a distance areas, send that digital artifacts, meaning that we can save time and also put a sustainability effort, not actually making that in the manual way, which saves time, saves money, and also reduce the carbon footprint. Okay, so this is from my side. Thank you very much, and also thank you for making it happen by the greenSME. If you want to connect, I'm more than happy to also. This is my LinkedIn, and I will be happy to take any questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I think here we had the opportunity to see an example where two technology companies, one production company, one startup with a specific technological solution for cybersecurity met to jointly create a prototype that secures advancement, among others, in the automotive sector in the future,
sure,
in other sectors where we have long-distance transfer of data. Cybersecurity is very important, and especially here, two partners getting acquainted in 6 months, doing a joint initiative. So building, you can say, business relationship over a longer period of time.
That's right.
Here you have the start of a strategic partnership. This is also about sustainability. Sustainability has not only an environmental part, it also has a business part. Sustainable business partners, it means less cost of looking for new partners, less cost of building trust, less cost of, let's say, doing the risks of ensuring on the way that everything will go right, because you can jointly develop, jointly test, and perhaps in the near future jointly provide the solutions on the market. I thank you very much. You will be a part of the panel.
Okay.
So Pavel, as first panelist, I would like to invite you.
Thanks a lot.
Also from the side of Envirly, I invite you, and I will give the floor to Hayona. Yes, is that okay for you?
Yes. You have a mic.
Okay, so thank you for the presentation. And now for the third session, and I will ask also to join to Luk as some cluster, Silesia cluster representative. Also, I will ask John Núñez from AFN cluster, Spanish clusters, to join to the session, and we would need also Nelli, Kononova from Bromwich, and Clara from Dortmund University. Okay? So, as you have seen, the idea of this session is to talk about the future of sustainable production. And we would like to gather different perspectives from clusters and business, and also for university. So as each one, and based on their knowledge and also their experience, has something to add. Okay, so let's start with the first question, which is, what are the main obstacles that SMEs face in their transition to sustainability? Just to break the ice, sorry. Nelli, would you like to go first with the main obstacles that SMEs face in their transition to sustainability?
Yes, sitting between some of the representatives. Yeah, I could say that probably repeating what I've mentioned in the presentation, it's first that the companies didn't know where to start. So such an initiative and project, it was nice for them to start at least to have an overview, but very often, depending on the growth of on the size of the companies, they do not have enough expertise. So in terms of different technologies, the overview of what would be suitable for their company or for the activity, that was lacking. Or also knowledge about the sustainability, what it means, where could we cut our resources. So I would say mainly where to start and what is applicable for us.
Thank you, Nelly. Modino company, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I can roughly agree that sometimes the process of being more sustainable sounds very difficult, sounds very, big, and actually the project like greenSME project showing clearly that it can be done in a quick way, in a quick, not very time-consuming process, with a let's say a very small budget, which means that sustainability can be treated as a value and not only a problem that European Union just thought about it. So I think that having such project like in here also creates that possibility to implement that sustainability in practice and also be an ambassador to the other companies in the sector that this is possible in an efficient and quick way.
Yeah, I think this is great input also, because you can be like a good practice or a best use case of how a short and sustainability project can be developed. Maybe the other company, would you like?
Envirly.
Yes.
Well, so in cooperation with our partners in greenSME, I think we knew what we're going to do at the very beginning, but what is important to make it happen is just to put it into the action. So you got 3 months at the very beginning, and there is no time to plan it. You have to have idea and start doing it. General answer to your question, time and money. So what we need to have for making sustainability happen, okay, but also action plan. And the short period of time for the project was some kind of a action plan frame that we're operating inside of it. And I hope it will last, maybe without such a tempo, but it will produce some good results, and we can build on it. And as you said in your case, long-term partnership. This is something that we're also planning to build on. So good founding for the future cooperations.
Okay, thank you. Luk, would you like to add something?
Yeah, what we often see, because like you said, time and money, experiences, that's what always lacks at all companies. We don't have the time because everybody is engaged and so on. We've seen several voucher schemes in different countries financed by European funds. Voucher schemes where companies can hand in an idea, get the voucher, and then they look for a supplier. And often they start from their ideas, looking for a supplier for their ideas. What we've done is based on the assessment, where they got basic ideas. We organized a workshop online, during which we confronted their ideas with some other issues, with a different context. As such, they were able to verify their idea, focus on the real problem, which was often underneath, and then more specify their need for a potential partner. What helped? The action planning afterwards, and also the notification that in these 6 months I will engage a specific amount of people with specific competences for specific tasks. So during the workshop we did a little bit project management, project planning with the companies for their future idea to be implemented. Still, there was the call for proposals. Not all projects were accepted. But anyway, those who were able to provide with us the workshop were able to, let's say, have a clearer insight in the resources they planned to engage. And this is maybe a good lesson also for other voucher systems in Europe. that we create some kind of platform where demand and supply can meet before a company goes to a voucher system to ask for money. Especially if you have these intermediaries, these business support organizations like the members in the consortium that have the competences to provide small workshops. These were 2-hour workshops online, so you don't, again, need a lot of resources. You don't have to take off the whole day. And it gives a clear possibility for the companies to verify their ideas, to find the right partners, and then, like you said, in a short time to focus. I think in this way, the 85 manufacturing companies had the opportunity to work on a speed, on a solution, which now we see also in China and other countries, whereas what we also discussed this morning in the conference, sometimes Europe is slow in taking decisions and implementing the actions, and here we had this speed of 6 months to come up with real results.
Great. Yes.
I would add something. Here we have seen some application of sustainability into specific projects. What I see as a challenge for, especially for SMEs, is having like an overall strategy for sustainability. And to do so, we have not the most ideal environment, as our regulatory environment is quite complicated here in Europe. And quite often SMEs don't understand what do they have to do. And that environment also attacks them into vectors. First one is the direct vector that affects their sector or their products, but also when their customers come, especially if they are in a value chain and a strong value chain in certain sectors like automotive, aerospace, and a customer comes and tells them, okay, I need you to do this and this because they are asking me to comply these regulations. And they are quite often like overwhelmed by the lots of regulations they have to comply with, and they are not able to understand that. And that's a lack that they have. That should be like applied into an overall strategy for each company to know which regulations should they comply with and how to reach that compliance.
This is also a very interesting issue based on, you can say, a good practice. There is this national cluster on packaging in Poland with innovative companies. And for instance, they have gathered all directives, European directives, in a library and then put on an AI model. So companies that are looking for solutions for their area of activity, they just can ask the request, and the AI system verifies the information from the directive. So the company knows, okay, for this activity, I have to take into account these legislations and rules. That helps. On the other hand, we saw here with Envirly that this company with a technology for the agricultural sector was boxing with its clients because the clients were not convinced of taking up this technology because there was no certification, there were no proofs. And again, the cooperation helped them to find the proof to deliver the necessary documents.
Maybe, Clara, would you like to add any something, or we can go to the second?
I think all the results we had are mirrored in what you also said today. So
Yeah.
let's go to the second question.
Yes. I think that also the presentation you have developed regarding the barriers, the theoretical barriers, has been summarized with good examples.
I think
right now here, yes. So let's continue with the second question, which is, what is the role of technology? What is the role of technology in enabling the twin transition, digital and green transition with the SME? And in this case, let me introduce technical perspective. As technical, for instance, is RTO. And we have been thinking which is our technical approach. And in fact, we have been focusing on technology development, but also in sustainability, offering possibility to improve their sustainability to small and medium-sized companies. And for instance, for a RTO like technical, robotics, big data with IA, and additive manufacturing and advanced materials and photonics has been identified as key technologies that could foster sustainability, at least in our most near industry in the Basque Country, as most of them are advanced manufacturing companies. This has been one of the technologies that can be identified that could be enable and promote efficiency in processes, circular economies, and sustainability. Just as a starting point for the discussion, what about, I don't know, any of you, the companies, what do you think about your technology? How can foster sustainability?
I think that the technology, especially the one which I represent, speed ups and also automatize well. Like an example in Modena, like I said, we provide the sending the data in the secure way, on the distance way, which clearly reduce not only the costs and and the time, but also making a great impact in the sustainable way, because there is no need to travel, there is no need to actually manually check if everything is okay. And because of the fact that the world and the Europe it's rapidly growing, the number of the IoT devices, it's also a very large scale. It is said that up to 2040 there's a 25% of number of the device on the European year by year, which means that such technology will be more and more popular, and also we need, by using the other technologies, to make them more sustainable. And that's why.
Thank you very much for this input.
I can add that so sustainability, how we understand it and how we help companies, is that we're making it smaller pain for the companies to report and to analyze their data. Once they save more money using our platform, and it's easier for them to understanding their hotspots, their emissions, they can use more money on pro-sustainability actions, or simply for reducing carbon footprint, or making their actions more sustainable and less waste than they're using. This is what we're supporting the companies, for example, with the ERC company, that we are supporting them in counting the number of recycled and the level of recycled in their products. So technology helps them to make right decisions, but still, what I think is that the decisions are driven by the business. So the sustainability, in case of Polish SMEs, they will go more sustainable once they will have stable legal surrounding, which is not stable right now. It's changing, so if they don't have to report, they don't have to go more green, they won't, because either it will be beneficial for them from financial side. And what we help them to make it more beneficial from financial side, because it would be cheaper to count and then to report as a first small step.
Yeah, you said one of the projects was dealing with counting the recycled content in the product. This is an important step for the future, which is ahead of us. So the digital passports of products, where we will have to prove footprint, carbon footprint, and material footprint. So this company, ERC, was already looking in front. There's not many SMEs looking forward so much. It's often, like you said, if the law or the client doesn't require a change, so I will stay in my comfort zone. I'm not going to invest if nobody else expects me to invest. On the other hand, when we ask what is the role of the technology in itself is not a goal, it's a means. And first of all, the question is, in which market are you competing today, and what do you have to do to stay competitive? So part of it is the political or the legal framework. Part of it, it's the expectations of the clients, and part of it, the expectations of their clients. And if we have the B2B relations, then the final client also has its consumers, you and me, and has to know, okay, the final product, what should it look like, and what is then the expectation towards each part of the product in the value chain. When I know what is the expectation and what are the requirements, I have to look at my internal processes and my business model. I have to look what I have to change and also how I can convince my employees to change. Because the company culture is a very important part of the change process towards sustainability. We should not forget that. And after that, we can decide what kind of technologies should I apply to reach my goal. Because often still we see that, for instance, now it's very sexy to have a life cycle assessment. It's very sexy to invest in certain technologies like AI. Everybody wants AI. Everybody wants to have these AI agents. Microsoft delivered to its platform free AI agents, and everybody can produce AI. On the other hand, why do I need it? How to prevent from getting a technology overload or, let's say, wrong investment. So we should not forget that first step, to understand the context I'm in. And we've seen it during the process in greenSME. We've seen it also in the conference here today, that we are in a different geopolitical and economic context. And sustainability and technologies play an important role in that area.
Would like to add anything?
I would add that when talking about the twin transition, I think that technology is the only way to make sure that you are investing and not wasting. So if you, I understand that all of us, we want to the twin transition because we understand that it is the way to increase the competitiveness of the European SMEs. So that requires technology, because if not, we will be talking about costs and not investments, and not only monetary costs, also human resources and everything else. So I think that technology is a key for competitiveness when talking about twin transition. I've seen lots and lots of projects where huge investments were made and then there was no return on those investments. So you have to wisely choose which technology you want to develop, and they are the enabler of that transition.
Probably also to add to those perspectives from the more global view, it is totally true that you have to introduce the technologies that really make sense and matter within the business. And still we have to think about that a part of all the business stuff and being productive, there is just one planet and very limited resources. So before entering any technologies, it should make sense for the company, but it also should lead to reduction of resources, reduction of costs on a long term. Because if we just start introducing AI, etc., it would probably cut down some processes in time, but it also would result in increased resources. So using the sexy LCA could also be one of the processes to analyze where are my problems. Would it make sense to improve one process by introducing this technology, or would it mean increasing resources? So it should make sense, and it should start with a reduction.
But what we've seen this morning in the conference, that the technology companies said, okay, it's nice to be sustainable, to work on sustainability, but if the market isn't ready, what should we do with our products and solutions that are sustainable? And this is also one of the companies in our cluster. They deliver solutions in the automotive sector to local governments. The local governments, they prepare tenders. They prepare the tenders based on what they know and not based on the new sustainable technologies. And then this company said, okay, we can supply sustainable solutions, but as long as our client doesn't require these solutions, we cannot go forward. So how to educate your future client about the technology solutions you deliver. It's like also your company, yes?
But this happens not only with sustainable technologies, but with all technologies. This is something more related to innovation, that maybe you are ahead the market, and then you maybe could be the first one arriving, but maybe it's too early.
Yeah, you know, with companies we are supporting generally, their main reasons to cooperate with us is, some of them, they want to have change, and the change is driven from the inside. But in general, these are the regulations that are obliging them, or the clients. So as you said at the very beginning, so the big value chain, the big supply chains of the big companies that are required to report anyway. So yeah, well, we will support all the companies, but it's also, unfortunately to say, marketing task to sell it. Sorry to say, but sustainability is also at the very end, from the perspective of the companies that we're supporting, the manufacturers, they need to sell their sustainability and make it, so to say, sexy. And
yeah. I think that sustainability also is something that is demanded by society and also for political legal perspective. So I thought maybe they could be combined or not. They know that sooner or faster, later, or they must go in this direction. So they are pushed to go there. Can we move to the next question? That could be, how can ecosystems and stakeholders like clusters better support this transformation in SME? Maybe could you cluster people you could start, and then maybe companies have something to say also about what would they like, what kind of support they would like.
Okay, so I could say that in my sector at least, I've seen that in the last 2-3 years, from the beginning of the project till now, more or less, things have changed a lot. In our case, we launched a working group about 2 years ago. And all companies came and they were like, we know nothing about sustainability. Our customers are requiring us things that we don't understand. And so, first thing in our case was to put some order on that. Just to elaborate that, that roadmap, that identification of regulations and everything else, just to allow them to understand the problem. And then once they saw that, they say, okay, I understand everything. I know this is affecting me. This one is not affecting me now. Let's see in the future. And then they started to develop their strategies and so. That happened mainly with SMEs, but big SMEs, because when we're talking about SMEs, it's not the same a company of 20 people on a company with 200 people, and both are SMEs. So, but the bigger ones, they develop their strategy and so. And the smaller ones, what they ask and what they need is to see applications of sustainability, what others are doing, companies like them, not big companies. So in our case, what we're doing is also to collect use cases and applications of technology in the field of sustainability to allow them understand and to say, quite often they say like, oh, this guy is doing this, I can also do that. And we say like, okay, do it. And also for them it's important to support them in that process of understanding the regulation, because maybe a SME, they don't need to understand all the regulatory environment. They just need to know about the regulations that affect them. And you need to quit all the rest of the information and inputs and just leave what they need.
If we talk about sustainability, we talk about environmental sustainability, but also the social part. And here you've got like the engagement of the personnel, the employees, the approach in strategy building, process development, changing the organizational culture. And often the decisions about being more environmental sustainable being also more focused on the digitalization of the company, it means a different culture in the company and also a different approach. It's also what one of the companies presented this morning, Prefabricati, that we needed certain technologies to improve our carbon footprint, so to lower the carbon footprint, but also to prepare our employees for a higher product quality. It was a young, strict young company, 2-3 years active on the market, but with a very high growth potential and the need for a focus of its employees to deliver quality, because thanks to this, it's able to find its way in the market. As a cluster, we have an ecosystem. On the one hand, we are involved in automotive and advanced manufacturing. So we have 140 automotive companies and about 80, 90 companies in robotics, automation, IT, cybersecurity. And our companies can raise their questions, their problems, their challenges. We then verify among the group of suppliers who has potential solutions, also among the companies who has best practices, like you said, because the best to inspire other companies is through best practices of some companies. And then we organize these 3-hour workshops. Also, again, thinking about greenSME in the 6 months. Why 3 hours? Because in 3 hours, you've got 1.5 hour of presentations and this kind of brainstorming, and then 1.5 hour of workshops and finding solutions and discussing the best practices in smaller groups, to then after 3 hours go back to the company with a lot of ideas to discuss it within your own teams. And here, what we see in a period of 1 year having 30 to 60 workshops, those who are really active, they are unfortunately the large companies or the ones, like you say, 150, 200 people employed. It's very difficult to go to those companies that hire like between 30 and 100 employees, because they only have these 30 or 100 employees and they're all involved in 2-3 tasks at the same time. And to get them out of their context and put them in a room for, let's say, even 3 or 4 hours is often difficult. So we try to set up this kind of star performer benchmarking activities where we make short videos and these kind of applications where we are able to show in a short term how to set the first step, at least that first step. Also, we try to go to the companies themselves. We have this activity, it's called Resilience 2030, where we engaged our own advisor who goes to the companies, does the audit, and then takes them to a joint workshop. So to convince them that it's really worth to engage these 3-4 hours in a joint workshop. Again, it's not possible to engage, let's say, 5-8 technology suppliers and consultancy offices in a workshop with one company. Nobody would pay for that. So again, we made short videos of all the suppliers and their specific solution and approach to certain problems. So then during a workshop, we show these videos depending on the need of the specific SME. And based on that, the SME then creates an action plan. So we try to find ways to get access to the SMEs that employ a lower amount of employees, where we know that they have not much time to get acquainted with technologies, to prepare their strategies. And we use approaches, again, based on the experience from greenSME that allow us in a short term to come to action.
Thank you very much, Luk. Now that we have seen clusters perspective, would be interesting also to know what thinks company. Who would you like to start?
Yeah, I may start if so.
Thank you.
regarding that support from the clusters, I may resonate with both of you guys said. First of all, because of the fact that we are a startup, so we are also, let's say, a high developing company, what we need from some industry clusters is the information about the legal and other forms. And as you said, we don't need to know about everything, only the thing that affects us. But what I can point out is that information must be sure, because every one of us is probably using ChatGPT, but that also helping to the specific points. And after that, we need to have that confirmation. Is that true? So this is the role of the cluster. I see that the group of the people that already know that because they are in industry and they can guarantee that this information is proper. And the second one, I think the community of the people who are in the same business, meaning they have the same problems, meaning they are looking for the results and also looking for solutions. And this is also a different way of approaching the problems if there's a group of people which also have different backgrounds, different experiences, that also helps in that.
Yeah, networking is crucial. So any forms of speed consulting, so, you know, I need 20 minutes to show idea and a concept of our platform and the product, but I don't have to convince such a person during meeting, but I can, during one day, talk to 10 companies that way. And out of them, probably 3 or 4 will cooperate with me, but it's a huge success then. So networking. And if we're talking about projects like greenSME, maybe continuations of them, and then, you know, information. Hey guys, you did your project. It was well done. If you want, you can apply for that and that grant project program because you're applicable. I think that could be helpful.
Okay, thank you. Clara, would you like to add something?
Yes. I think the clusters here, they downplayed a little bit their work because this is already all a result of so much work you're doing, and also having an actual ecosystem around you, right? I mean, you not only have the connections to the SMEs or other companies, you have connections to many other stakeholders, and also not only regional ones. And I think this is the role, and this is the role that ecosystem means, of course, and this is the role that makes you so key. Not only you, though. And because no one is sitting here, I'm saying it, so there's, of course, also public or public-private institutions doing that. There's the sector associations and so on, and I think each one plays a role. And one thing that I found very interesting from our research is those institutions talking to each other and agreeing on some kind of maybe strategy or also responsibility sharing or roles helps a lot too, because they can reach more with the same resources, right? So you can actually divide work, be more efficient in that, and also you learn so much from each other, from different perspectives. And I think this is where you kind of agglomerate all these different types of knowledge and do translation work as well, and which makes it so helpful to then offer all these things that you mentioned. Expanding on that, of course, will always improve. So as many resources we have in these types of institutions that you're representing now, makes it more possible to aggregate knowledge, to spread innovation faster, to understand, like communicate problems in both ways as well. So what you're saying here needs to be transported to the European or national level, right? So I think it's difficult to do that, but it's important and would actually be the role of an ecosystem to support SMEs in sustainability endeavors. Yes, and I have one more point, which is more general. I think there is a general complication that sustainability in terms of environmental sustainability contradicts often economic sustainability unless you find an elegant solution to combine. And this is the difficulty. And you, I think your examples show it's possible, it's important, it's manageable. And I think with that, ecosystems on the regional level can also support, because they see these connections, maybe where you don't see it first. But also we need to be honest, I think, about this contradiction in order to find good solutions and a way forward that is accelerated. Yeah.
Great. Okay, I think that we have completed the round at the 3 questions. So now would be time for closing and make the summary. I like very much what you have said, something about that technology is the tool that can accelerate sustainability, but the company also must put like the direction and this strategy, this strategic approach for sustainability. And to make this closing, would it be possible that each of you give me maybe a sentence or idea, just to, very short idea, short sentence, how would you, to close this session? So what do you think is the most important regarding technology, sustainability, and specifically small, medium-sized companies?
Okay. If we talk about SMEs and we talk about family-owned or let's say private-owned SMEs, where we have a small group of people, just in the next 2 weeks, find one day, it can be a Saturday or a Sunday, but find one day to sit, analyze your sector, and think how you can become more sustainable, taking into account the context in which you are active, competitive issues, and your client requirements. And out of this, think who can be your partner for the next 6 months in developing an action plan around the sustainability and the business model you would like to develop in your company.
Thank you.
Okay, so coming back to the roots of Envirly, so counting the carbon footprint, think about small steps that you can reduce your carbon footprint. It can be picking up the train instead of flight, but that's one thing. Another thing, networking. So my main idea is that networking supports sustainability because it's a platform for exchanging the ideas and exchanging the contacts. So, you know, some companies need things that we're doing and other way around. This is how Asclepios Tech found us. And this is the way to follow. Thank you.
Be open. So if you have any ideas, then share them or ask for help. So trust people, whether those are clusters or probably other people from other companies facing the same challenges, and get inspired by the solutions that are already there that could be applicable within your company, because you do not have to be always innovative. Sometimes those are the simple solutions that you just didn't think about.
So from my perspective, think about the sustainability not as a requirement that you need to meet, but as an added value you can serve to the market. As fast you can make it, the fast market you can actually be on that. So the more share you will have. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, I think I can only agree with Nelli. Collaboration is key, and make use of the offers that are there, the partners that are there, your ecosystem, and be open to innovation even if it's small.
I would try to provide one sentence. I would say that the sustainability wave is already here. You can surf it and you can live yourself and see what happens.
Inspiring one. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all the ones that you have participated in this colloquium. Also all the partners that has been involved in this greenSME final event. And I think it has been very interesting, very valuable, very good insight. I think it has been really effective. And so thank you very much. And just I think that we can close here our session. So thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
And staying
Please take the coffee.